Come on. All Black Everything. We live. We back. Death of the West, Chapter 3, where we left off. Catechisms of a Revolution. Yes, indeed. This is All Black Everything, the channel. Like, subscribe, share. If you like the content, we here. Shout out to the shirt line, huh? Thinkersplight.com. Check it out. Got the shirts on deck. Custom. We back. I do not own the rights to this music, but it's fresh. Shout out to the brothers, the Kings in Ghana, and all over the African continent doing their thing with the music, baby. We repping it. Death of the West is what it's called. Go ahead, get your own copy. Shout out. Chapter 3. We continuing on. Uh, in 1994, the Culture War came to Lake County, Florida, when the school board voted 3-2 to require that children be taught that America's heritage and culture were superior to other foreign or historic cultures. End quote. Board Chair Pat Hart, a self-described patriot and Christian, said the idea was adopted in response to Florida's multicultural education policy. It is fine, said Ms. Hart, for students to learn about other nations and cultures, but they should be taught that America's is unique, unquestionably, superior. End quote. A stunned teachers union called the proposal jingazistic. Jingazistic. Point were, end quote. We need to reinforce that we should be teaching America first, end quote. Otherwise, said Ms. Pearson, young people, quote, if they felt our land was inferior or equal to others, would have no motivation to go to war and defend our society, end quote. See, that's the real underlying reason. You got to read between the lines. Read between the lines. Do your own research too. I'm just sharing the knowledge. It ain't mine. These ain't my words. I'm just relaying them. And they say one dissenter charged the school board majority with undermining our school system. The Associated Press reported, quote, some teachers and parents say what's really being taught is bigotry, end quote. The spokesman for the National School Boards Association, Jay Butler, warned that, quote, values in education is something we hear about more about with the rise of the religious right wing, end quote. The local teachers union president, Gail Burry, accused the board of violating the First Amendment. She says the board's majority wants to start from a indoctrination. Let me say it again. She said the board's majority wants to start from a conclusion that America is superior to all other nations and then work backwards from it. That's not education, that's indoctrination. Learn the difference. The two words are different because they mean something different. Read between the lines. End quote. She says, but isn't starting from the conclusion that America is simply equal to or all other nations also indoctrination? At the heart of the dispute is Pilate's question, quote, what is truth? The revolution, Lake County was contradicting truth, i.e. all cultures are equal, none is superior. By claiming America's culture was superior, Ms. Hart's board had committed heresy. The revolution could not permit open defiance of a core of dogma to be taught as truth to children in Lake County. So it went to battle stations. In the fall election, in a huge turnout, all supporters of the quote America First end quote policy were defeated. Quote, the people turned out the extremists, end quote, said Miss Mullins. The episode exposes the true character of our new dominant culture, about its core beliefs. It's deeply intolerant and will not abide that America's culture is superior is an, quote, extremist, touching a lie, teaching a lie, who has no business in public schools of the new America. None. As equality is its core principle, the Cultural Revolution teaches that the real heroes of of history are not the conquerors, soldiers, and statesmen who built the Western nations and created the great empires, but those who advanced the higher cause, the equality of the peoples. The equality of peoples. Thus, the end of segregation in the South and of the apartheid in South America. South Africa are triumphs greater than the defeat of communism, and Mandela and Gandhi are true moral heroes of the 19th century. Thus, Martin Luther King stands tallest in the American pantheon, and any state that refuses to set aside a holiday to celebrate his birth is to be boycotted. As for George Washington, if his name is removed from schools, so be it. Oh boy. Was he not an owner of slaves? Did he not participate in America's most egregious violation of human equality? As equality is a first principle, one person, one vote democracy is the highest form of government and the only true legitimate form. It only may be imposed by force, as it was upon Germany and Japan, and should have been upon Iraq. Military intervention for national interest is selfish and ignoble, but moral intervention that sheds blood in the cause of democracy, as in Somalia, Haiti, and the Balkans, nothing is more pure. By this standard, the revolution judges the morality of America's wars. The War of 1812, the Mexican and American War, the Indian Wars, and the Spanish American War have not secured a continent at any cost in lives, but these wars were forever sullied by the annexationist and chauvinist spirit of the America that fought them. And though Korea and Vietnam were fought to save small nations from murderous Asian communism, they were unwise or unjust wars. For we were allied with corrupt regimes and fought to keep those countries in our camp in a Cold War that never had the moral clarity of the war against fascism. President Nixon's support of General Pinochet's overthrow of the Castroid Salvador Allende in Chile was an outrage. So too was Ronald Reagan's assistance to the Nicaraguan Contras fighting to recapture their country from the pro-Soviet Sandinistas. As for Reagan's invasion of Grenada to rescue that tiny island from the Stalinist thugs who murdered its Marxist ruler, Maurice Bishop, that was American aggression. But Clinton's invasion of Haiti, to restore the power, to restore to power the Marxists defrosted. And so along as it is a good war, the end justifies the means in the catechism trampled on the Constitution, imprisoned descendants, ashes was signed. The eradication of slavery justified the means employed, even if fellow Americans suffered terribly. As for the good war, World War II, allying themselves with the mass murderer Stalin and firebombing cities like Nagasaki, killing scores and thousands of women and children in hours, were accepted because our hearts were pure and our enemy was evil. Richard Nixon is denounced for the murder bombing of Haoni to free our POWs, bombing that North Vietnam said killed 1,900 people over 13 days. Yet Harry Truman is forever a hero, even though he ordered the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing 140,000 civilians. I'm saying it again. Yet Harry Truman is forever a hero, even though he ordered the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing 140,000 civilians and sent 2 million Russian prisoners of war back to be tortured and murdered by Stalin in Operation Keep Them Alive. Your American presidents. Charges and murder. Byron de la Beckwith, charged with assassinating NAACP 30 years later and dies in prison as the revolution demands, even as it pleads for clemency for Leonard Peltier, who murdered two wounded FBI agents after a 1975 shootout on Pine Ridge Reserve. The latest cultural icon is Mumia Abu Jamal, who is on death row for murdering a policeman in Philadelphia in 1981 by emptying his gun into the wounded officer who lay bleeding. 100 academic historians have urged that Mumia be given a new trial, that the killing of that policeman be, quote, viewed in the light of history, end quote. As Pelter is an Indian and Mumia is black, they qualify as members of a victim class, but two dead FBI agents and a dead cop, three white males do not. I think that's where we're going to leave it at. Leave it off at, excuse me. Death of the West, Chapter 3, Catechisms of the Revolution. Check it out. We coming back right where we left off. All Black Everything. Like it, subscribe, share it if you like the content. And yeah, we rocking. Appreciate y'all listening, checking it out. Do your own research though. Like I said, it's not my knowledge. Just sharing. Because that's what time it is. Mm-hmm. Peace, love, black love. Huh?